Hey, Mike.
Hey, Robbie. How you doing?
Just gonna see if we're gonna start over again.
Let's do it. Let's
Sounds
start
good to me.
start from scratch.
Start from scratch.
Couple
I
things.
go-
Yeah, can't get. We're at the mercy of our technology.
Yeah, and we're at the mercy of the headset universe.
If you want to support us on Patreon and help us buy
Yes,
some
we
new
do.
equipment, that would be great.
Seriously.
Patreon.com/crushing iron. I mean,
Yep.
we're just trying to build the infrastructure here and keep these
Yeah.
podcasts alive and get them to
Really.
sound better.
Yeah, because borrowing Wi-Fi from this McDonald's and these iPhone headsets is getting kind of old.
Are you sitting in the drive-through right now?
Yeah, man. I'm parked outside, sitting on the back of my truck.
All right. Hey, whatever it takes to get the message out to the people.
That's it, man. That is it.
Boy, I've got two things on my mind today that just won't leave.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I was hoping this is gonna go quick. I've had this headset on for the last 2 hours.
Oh, you've been overseas
That's right.
discussions?
Yeah. I've been talking to some of our overseas peeps over in Stuart Wood over in Sweden, and Steve King over in the UK. So they got Ironman Frankfurt and Ironman Wales for next year. So catching up on a few items, going over a few things, and yeah, it's always good. Always good to chat with any of my athletes, but always new ones, and especially my athletes over across the pond.
Are you doing Skype, like video Skype?
Yeah. Uh, for some reason my video wasn't working today. Like when I was showing video, it was showing my screen
Uh-huh.
instead of my face, which I mean, let's be honest, is probably better off for them. I could see them, but it was also kind of cool because I just basically pulled up my training peaks and was able to walk them through the calendar and talk them through while they were looking at their training peaks as well. So all in all, good chats, and yeah. So what do you have on your mind?
Well, first of all, were they excited about the new deal for the athletes, the C26 athletes, and the? Is that something we can talk about?
Yes, we are going to be supported / propelled by Roca going forward. So definitely super pumped about that. Our athletes get what I would call a very generous discount. I don't want to say that our team is sponsored by them because I don't like that term sponsored.
No.
I
Supported,
feel
propelled.
like that. Yeah, I feel like that's for professional athletes only.
Well, yeah, we're not sponsored. Our athletes get a good
we're
deal through them
exactly
because of who we are.
We're we're supported, but yeah, we'll be propelled by Roca this year, so I'm pretty pumped about that. We're gonna do a lot of things with them, which will be great. So yeah, super pumped, and then have some more sponsorship announcements coming down the chute here in the next week or two.
Wow, that's exciting, man. It's cool. So the two things on my mind. Well, one is that Taylor Swift song. I just can't let it go.
Christ, sounds like
Sounds
I
like
heard
a
it
50-year-old
once, it
man.
sounds like complete garbage.
It is. It's just a hook, man. She's just a hook expert.
Yeah. Oh, it makes it even worse because all like the college football previews are freaking using that song too.
Oh, are they right now?
Yes.
Oh,
Like
boy.
the preview for the Florida State Alabama game was using it, and I was just like, dude, what?
Yeah, okay.
Moving on. So what
Moving
else?
on. The other thing is that little rollerblade experience I had yesterday with. Did you happen to catch my video?
Of course I caught it. I was in it.
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't know if
Yeah.
you watched it or not.
I
Had a
watch.
chance to-
Well, I don't watch it at night. I watch it in the morning after I do Hayden's Nebulizer, and he listens to his favorite song. I pull up
Fire.
the video. I pull up the video so he can see. Yeah, the fire truck song.
Fire truck. He's quite the dancer.
Dude, you should. I'm gonna get him on video at least one of these nights and see him the full breakdown. But yeah, you guys didn't see the full breakdown the other night. But he's got yeah, it's intense.
That's pretty cool. So yesterday I was out. I took off on the bike. I was just gonna go out and loosen up the legs a little bit, and I'm riding down the greenway, and I see a rollerblader up ahead of me. He's moving pretty good, and kind of gave him. I actually said on your left because in that case, He was
Mm.
in, moving back and forth across the lane. So,
Okay, sure.
I just think it has its. Sometimes you should say it, and other times just kind of ride by. I mean, if you're gonna
Okay.
say it, just say it. Don't yell it.
When it's convenient for you. I got it. Okay,
Well, I
moving
mean,
on.
he was all over the lane, so I was like, hey, bro. Anyway, I passed him, and then I was kind of cruising up about maybe a half mile later, and I was getting ready to pass somebody else, and I sort of looked over my back shoulder, and I looked, and he was right in my draft. That guy rollerblading, you
Up
know,
in your grill.
he was right on my tire, man. And so I was like, all right. And then I pretty impressed, but kind of weirded out a little bit. Um, and then I took the corner to go into the lab, which is our old retired airport field where we do loops. And I got on. I was going like 17 miles an hour on the way to the lab. It's a real private sort of path, and he was right on me. And we got into the lab, and I'm like, okay, bro. And and the dude's like 60. He's in his 60s easily. And I got out on the straightaway, and I just put the hammer down a little bit, and
Dropped him.
yeah, I dropped him.
Yes,
Rollerblades
nice.
were gone, but it had me a little shaken because it wasn't the easiest drop I've had in a while. Um, so I rode around a couple times, caught up with him again. I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? And he's telling me about his rollerblade marathons that he does, and he averages 20 miles an hour. And I was like, whoa. So it's kind of got me a little excited about getting him out again, but I don't know. He actually said he thinks I asked if it helped his cycling because he said he's a big cycler, but he comes to Nashville and he doesn't carry his bike with him, so he just brings those. And he said he actually thinks his cycling helps his rollerblades more than the other way,
Ah,
which
kind of like cycling helps you running and not running helps your cycling.
I think that's it.
Okay, I can roll with that.
Yeah. So that's really what. That's all. That's all I got.
That's it?
Well, I mean, that's all that's been on my mind, and now I think I can let it go since I've confessed it to the world.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. What's going on in your mind? Obviously, you had a good idea this morning.
Oh yeah, again, we talked about this in our previous podcast. We have three athletes living in the Houston area that luckily have not had such a, just catastrophic loss as so many other people living in Houston have, and their streets are still, tons of water, but it hasn't taken over their whole house like it has a lot of people, and it's a crazy, man. It's awful to see, and I'm not going to go off on a huge tangent, but I do want to say that I think pretty much anybody who looks at the coverage, and of the just the total chaos and destruction that this hurricane is having on people in Houston is everybody looks at the screen and it's like, man, like they feel nothing but sympathy, and all they want to do is help, and all they want to do is support other people, and do what they can, and give people a shirt off their own back, and donate money, and do all these things. And in a week or two from now, you know I want everybody to remember that every single person on this planet, to an extent, has their own flood going on every single day, whether it's a loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, depression, a hard time. It may not be as symbolic as a flood and the loss of a house, but everybody has something going on in their life. And so if you could just, you know, be kind to people all the time, be generous, be sweet, be giving, and, understand people, then I think the world would be a better place, in general. Having said that, I do understand that a lot of these, we would like to do something as, Crushing Iron and the podcast and C26 Triathlon. And so, a lot of people, I was really moved by a Facebook post that Summer Scandridge posted. She's one of our athletes there in Houston, about teaching her kids about service, and about, I think they were cleaning out their own, like, closets and handing out, t-shirts to people who have literally they've lost literally everything. Like, you wake up tomorrow and you have nothing. And so I thought would be really, really cool if I know Allie and I are going to do it, and I'm sure you will too. But if and when, not when, but when the mail and UPS and all that kind of stuff starts to pick back up in Houston, I would really, really, really like it if everybody who listens to this podcast, no matter where you are in the globe, because we know we have people across the pond, um, get in your closet, get in your drawers, grab shirts you don't wear anymore, grab 30 or 40 of those like tech tee finisher shirts that you literally never wear, or just workout clothes in general, or just any clothes in general. And if you would like, in any way, shape, or form, to send your extra clothes to these people in need, then please email me at c26coach@gmail.com, and I will put you in touch with Summer Scandridge on the ground there in Houston, and you can mail or ship as much clothing as you possibly can to her, and she will distribute that to the local shelters and the people that are most in need there on the ground. Yes, I know you can donate online, do all that kind of stuff, but at least I know personally that I know that she will make sure they get into the people. She's right there on the ground giving stuff away, and so I just think it would be great and I am willing to, once you have shipped your shirts, pants, whatever it is, any donatable clothing item, and she receives it, she will let me know. And if you would like, I would be more than happy to send you a link to a 12-week base training plan that you can have free of charge for your contribution. So definitely a lot of things down there in need. There's only so much that I know that we can do and people listening can do, but uh, losing your house is one thing we can't fix, but allowing these people to have, a clean set of clothes to put on their back each day while they're working on rebuilding their city and their homes and their lives, is honestly kind of the least we can do. And so I think that'd be great. I'm going to clean out some of mine. I got definitely some old finisher shirts and tech tees that I literally don't touch, and we'll be sending those to Houston for people to have.
That sounds great, man. I like that idea. We were talking about it a little bit, and I like the idea that there'd be race shirts and things like that coming from all over the country and all over the world, and kind of just showing that other places are thinking about them. And it definitely is not. It's like I've talked about this many times about what do I do with these shirts because I don't wear them, and you kind of have that attachment to them in a little bit of a way. But this is an easy solution to letting go and kind of cleaning out your closet. And yeah, it does seem it's like the least you can do, but it's just a weird thing to think about, not having any clothes. It's just food, clothing, shelter. It's like they're struggling for all of it. And we went through a flood. You were here, right?
Oh yeah,
Back
I
in
was
the day.
here.
So I don't think it's anything near this thing, but it was a lot worse than people thought, and there was a lot of the same kind of like flooding, and it just wouldn't go down in neighborhoods, and it was it's just bizarre, man. It's tough to watch, and you want to go. It's like my first instinct is just to go there, and
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I
but
said
it's like,
I said it's like too bad that, like, and they have a ton of stuff. Like, she sent me pictures of like the National Guard and like their convoys, like literally blocks from their house, with the rising water. And it was like, yeah, I mean, if I need to grab my wetsuit and my goggles and drive down and help out with some grabbing some people, then I'm all in. But yeah, there's only so much you can do. You always wish you could do more, and I totally understand that donating money is a really easy thing for people to do, and I think it's great. You don't honestly always know where it goes, or who it goes to, but these shirts we know will go into the hands of someone who's going to distribute them in the best way possible to those who need it the most. And then I totally agree with you, just for them to be able to see that people are sending stuff all over. It's the old adage, like, just be willing to give the shirt off your back. It's like, how much do you really need it? I mean, honestly, how much do you really need it compared to, because we already have so much stuff, so many things that, you guys were giving me a hard time over the weekend, because I only have like one pair of swim trunks, one pair of, running shorts, one pair of cycling shorts, I regurgitate the same t-shirts. I'm sure if you see my Ironman Louisville videos, you see about 4 and they're on rotation. Like I live a pretty minimalist life, but I just don't like to buy things I don't need. But at the same time, like there's still stuff in my closet that we could give away, and how much do you really need it versus knowing that you see somebody in like whose house has been like, they're literally going to have nothing to their name, so yeah, if we can do anything but simply just help put clothes on their body until they can, so while they rebuild their life, I feel like that is literally the least we could do.
Yeah. And that point you brought up earlier about everyone's got something going on, I think is a good one, because it's sort of, I think, what we've always tried to present in this podcast. And again, it's not like just because we talk about it means, like, for example, like I have that down, but I try to think about that all the time. I mean, it's and it does translate into what we do as athletes in our training, and there's always something going on. I mean, I think, like, just for an example, Saturday when we rode, and I just did not feel that bike. It was more than just cycling. It was just like I wasn't feeling good about some things going on in my day, or some in my life, and I don't know. I just think it's always good to reach out, and if we can kind of keep that in our mentality in general, because there's just got to be hundreds of those situations a day where somebody. I went to the AutoZone yesterday, and there was like an employee just swearing at her manager, and I was like, what that's just so ridiculous. But what's going on in her life that's like so screwed up that this poor guy just was meekly taking verbal abuse all over the place? And it's just like, and we were talking about that with the people that broke in your car or whatever. It's like, I don't know, man. I guess just in general, there's so much reward in reaching out and trying to get into somebody's head and let them talk, or let them just say what's on their mind, or help, because it truly is, this giving is way better than receiving, and we all need it.
Yep, totally agree.
So I don't know how that parlays or translates into, I'm trying to kind of spin it around into
that. Sometimes you just can't spin.
Yeah, I know.
Something like that, Well,
I think it just feels like it's applicable, in a lot of ways. It's just sort of general human character that we're reminded of because of events like this that happen. Everybody's like, how can this happen? It's just terrible. But that's what life is. It's like there's always something like that going on. It seems like, and if you don't believe it, just watch the news. And that's why I think maybe if anything, it's like, it really is playing triathlon. There is so much more to life and bigger, greater things. So that if that can, take, because there's a lot of people coming up to some big races right now, and there's a lot of pressure on it right now. And I get emails a lot about, thank you for this podcast, or thanks for talking about this, because I was putting so much emphasis on this race that it was stressing me out beyond belief. But if you can kind of spin it into this, like, man, it's just going to be a day of fun and something I've worked hard for, and I want to go and enjoy it. Everything, you know what I mean? It just becomes easier out there, and there's no reason to put that kind of pressure on an Ironman, I don't think. I mean,
but here's the thing: is like, does anybody do like? I know you have like. here's the thing is like you have professional athletes out there that you like label as, oh, well, they just thrive under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they don't feel any pressure.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a badge of honor. Like the reason that they thrive under pressure is because they literally like either don't feel it at all or only feel a little bit of it. And that's why they thrive. They don't like put themselves in pressure packed situations. They just like they always stay in the moment. They always know what's most important. They always act accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And so which is a huge difference. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think
Well, you always say, man, you say you trust your training, right? And that's really it's just like
all about trust.
It's like why wouldn't you go out at a race? It's like you've been doing this for 9 months or 8 months. Why do you think that race is going to be any different? I mean, it is.
But that's perfectly. That's honestly what I wanted to talk about today. Anyway, was trust, because you have athletes, and we've shared a few screenshots over the last few days of, honestly, when I see some of these athlete like training posts over the last like 2 to 4 weeks before these big races, all I see is like how totally irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what it comes down to is like there are ways to pass and there are ways to fail your last 4 weeks to 6 weeks before a race. There are things you can do and there are things that you shouldn't do to ensure success. And they all are based on trust. Trust. Total trust. Trust of yourself, trust of your training, trust of your ability, trust to rest, trust that you have gotten the right guidelines. I mean, I've got, and even from a coach athlete standpoint, it is all about trust. I have an athlete who's doing Ironman, who's doing Wisconsin, and I think we have some pretty lofty expectations of what, well, at least I think we both know he's in a really, really, really awesome place. And we're 2 weeks out. We just started the taper, and in one of his comments on his Training Peaks run, he said, "I'm thinking about going no watch on the run."
Mm-hmm.
And my response was, "Go for it."
Yep.
Go for it. Like who am I to tell? And that also yes, is it a lot of trust for the athlete? Sure, but it's also a lot of trust that I have within myself to be okay with that, like, because it doesn't put any more pressure on me because I don't feel it. It's not. I'm not going to hang my hat or beat my drum if he goes out and blows out of the water. Nor am I going to blame him if things don't go accordingly. Like, if he feels that's the best route to go, then do it. Like, I'm not going to marry you to a GPS and a watch. Let's just go. Feel free. You've done the work. Let's see what happens. That's the kind of trust and that's the kind of confidence that you should have. Not I've got to do a 120-mile ride on Saturday and a 25-mile run on Sunday because that's going to give me the confidence. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. It might give you the confidence that day.
Yeah.
But that's that part of like trust plus restraint. Usually, and more oftentimes than not, equals your best race. Trust plus restraint. Not overdoing it to overdo it to overdo it to overdo it to answer your own. Basically, what you often see is how much a person doesn't trust their training and their preparation versus how much they do based on their epic days and their epic weekends and their just honestly these idiotic brick workouts that I see that I honestly cringe when I see them. People doing these to their bodies, 4 weeks out before a race. It blows my mind. It's like that to me. I see a lack of confidence and just a terrible plan. But it's like it all comes down to trust, and that trust is related to the pressure that you put on yourself. Because the more pressure you put on yourself, the less you trust what you know, and you tend to add more because that's what we do. and we tend to add more when we try to overcompensate and we try to, keep up with the Joneses, when you should just love and be okay with where you are and then go from there, knowing that you're capable of more instead of proving it today.
I really like what the idea of running without that watch. Of course, I mean I'm big on that sort of stuff. It's like you got to race smart, but the worst thing you can do is start overthinking it during the race. And
Hmm.
to me, that's what can happen when you're starting to really watch that Garmin the whole time. It's just like I mean, it's like you're out there running. You should have a pretty good idea of how you feel and what's going on, and like I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like rocket science to me to know that you might be running too hard for what might be to come. But I can see how you forget that. But there's nothing more liberating than just sort of going, man, I feel like a kid. And I've done this so many times, and now this just feels right. This is what I'm going to do. I heard a great. I was kind of into that McGregor Mayweather fight, and I know you.
Oh, I know you are.
It's just fascinating because think about, you think about this, right? Okay, how many big games or big races or whatever happens in the world, the Super Bowl, the Ironmans that we do or whatever, and how you feel the day before, the night before going into that, what you're thinking about, and like you said, some people just are able to just shut that out and not be stressed out about it, but I can't think of any other thing in the world athletically that would be so much pressure than like a boxer going into a match like this. One guy just sitting there alone with his thoughts against the world. And you got your teammates, or an Ironman. There's 25 other 100 people or whatever. But just that always intrigued me. But anyway, the point is like there's a lot of people were asking, okay, everyone thought Mayweather would win because he's a boxer and he had the boxing fitness. And people were asking about why a guy like, Conor McGregor, who's an MMA champion, who is obviously in spectacular shape, would get so tired boxing. And someone used the analogy, I think it was Joe Rogan actually I was listening to, he goes, he kind of explained it like, imagine tying your shoes. That's just something that we do without thinking. It's no energy, it's no thought process or anything like that. You just sort of do it in reflex. But imagine if every time you leaned over to tie your shoe, you had to think about how to do it, how much that would drain you over the course of, 10 rounds. It was the same kind of thing. It was just this fluid. That's why I think I really get into these modes of frequency and why I think that helps me so much. Like,
Hmm.
remember I was talking about that when I'd swim like every day? I just
Yeah.
felt like I was a better swimmer. Even if I wasn't going crazy distances, if I was getting in the pool, working on my form, swimming 1500 or whatever, but I was doing it like 2 weeks in a row, it just became this natural motor skill for me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's the kind of thing that you want to feel in a race. You don't want to be like worrying about, you just kind of want to be free, I think. I don't know. And just reacting without overthought, because that overthinking during a race can really, I've heard Starkey talk about this. When he's talking about cycling, he's like, he does these crazy speeds, and his thing always is like, cycling doesn't have to be as hard as you think it has to be. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting concept for me to throw around because I do believe that, and I've heard that, where I've talked about before running, how it feels easier for me to run faster sometimes.
Hmm.
So I'm intrigued by that. And I think a lot of that has to do with just letting go and trusting, the hundreds and thousands of miles you've put on your legs in the past, and
Yep.
just letting that be free and take over. Um,
I mean, I think the best place for like your GPS is the first 6 miles, and it's to tell you how much slower you should usually go.
yeah,
Usually,
yeah, to keep
but
you
I
in
think,
check.
yeah, to keep you in check, not to marry you to a pace you feel like you need to sustain, for the next little bit. But after that, yeah, I think you should go, largely based on feel. I remember like the best, I think my best 70.3 run split was actually I took off my heart rate monitor during the run and threw it to a friend because I felt awesome. And every time I looked at my heart rate, it was in like the high 170s, but I didn't feel like the correlation was, oh, you should slow down, you're gonna bonk. But I felt so good. I was like, me seeing that is only messing with my mind. So I literally unzipped my tri kit, took off my heart monitor, handed it to my friend, and ran the last 6 miles without it. And that's my best run split so far. It's like a 132 and a half. But yeah, I mean, I think it should work as your governor if you don't have that, because it is really, really tempting to just kind of pick things up and just go 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 go. But after that, just feel it, because you know what you can do and you know what you can't. But when you look at your watch, it tells you two things. It either tells you, I'm going to marry you to this pace for the whole time, whether you like it or not, whether you can hold it or not till mile 20 and then you're going to walk, or it shows you what you're not capable of. Because you're going to look at your watch like, oh, well, in training I was able to hold this, so I should be able to hold this, so I'm going to stick to it no matter what I'm feeling. Even if I feel like my legs are about to explode and they're about to fall off my body, I should be able to hold this, so I'm going to hold it to this 8-minute mile, and I'm going to stick to, now I'm walking at mile 16. I guess I just didn't pace it right. No shit, Sherlock. Like, no, you didn't pace it right. Go by feel and think, oh, I can hold this for this amount of time. And that's why training by effort and training by exertion is such a crucial part, and why I'm such a huge fan of it. Is go by feel, get to know yourself, get to know your body, learn to make these judgmental mistakes in training so that you don't make up on race day. Learn how to bonk on your own, not because of your nutrition or because your fitness ability, but because you made a bad mental error in judgment. That's where mistakes happen. Not because you bonked and your body fell apart. The pilot just screwed up and crash landed more oftentimes than not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. What you do that a lot with workouts, and the one
especially with the run, I do that a lot.
Yeah, but I was going to even say that you do that in the swim, and I think that's really intriguing, because that's one place that that's the real. A lot of times swimming for people feels like a 100% effort, quote unquote. Sometimes, especially when you get in a race, but the idea of what you were just talking about, the ability to go a little bit out of your range and then pull it back in and find another, just find that comfort zone let's talk about that when you're running specifically, because that to me is like huge, right? And I do that by breath. I mean, a lot of times it's just, I know if I'm breathing too fast or too hard, that I got to back it in, and then you just sort of find that little place and kind of get into there again, and then incrementally pick it up if you feel better, and then just kind of weave back and forth, and just find that zone. You're right. I think that's the stuff that I don't know if I've just always kind of been aware of that and practiced that, because if there's a pace, most people have a run pace where they call it their go all day pace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but can you find that after you've gone out of it and come back? Can you come in and go out of those places? That's, I think, valuable.
Yeah.
Training.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, it's tough to reel yourself back in and think, I can hold this. And I'm at a point to where I understand that what I've done to myself so far by going out of my zone is going to take me a little bit of time to kind of get back to baseline, and not, I should just crank it way, 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 way down and overcompensate for going out of your zone or going too hard, and so on. And yeah, it's a lot. It's just knowing yourself and knowing your body and know what that feels like, to know that you can handle it for that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes practice, it takes training, and the more you do it without marrying yourself to, a GPS or worrying about who's going to see it, it's like, it's such a detriment. Like it's such a detriment. It's such a thief of not achievement, but it robs people of their truly great performance, because it's just because you've already put all of your success in comparison versus personal fulfillment in what you're actually capable of.
One of the things that I find challenging about wearing a GPS on the run is the lag. So, what I do, it's like if you're talking
Oh, I
about
know.
what we were just.
I saw every, and Erica Drakowski can vouch for this. I saw maybe the grumpiest version of Mike Torelli I've ever seen on our hour and 15-minute run this last Saturday.
That was just all that testosterone flying, man.
From the steak?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, realistically, if you're talking about being accurate, that's why I'm talking about going by breath more so, because I know exactly what that means in that exact second, versus, at least to me, where I can slow it down or whatever. But when you're talking about, it's like if you're talking about running an Ironman at like 70% or whatever, you're riding or whatever, these numbers. I like the concept of like of really dialing into what, you got 70, 80, 90% or whatever in your workouts, but what does 72% mean? You know what I mean? I'm really intrigued by those in between numbers, because sometimes, like you're saying with that heart rate monitor, maybe you just felt a little bit better for whatever reason. You had better flow or something going on in your body that day, where like 73, 74, you might want to stay at 70, but you got that up to 74. I mean, it's a fine line, but being able to recognize that is pretty critical, I think, and it's really cool to be able to do that. I'm not saying I can always do it, but I think about that stuff. It's just not about, that's the thing about people that train and run the same pace all the time, or do anything,
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
that's not going to go very far for you. I mean, it goes at one speed.
Well, yeah, it's gonna go as far as you want, but it's only gonna go at one speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, because listen, man, the fact of the matter is that every single day of the week, your specific effort level or perceived exertion on a scale of 1 to 10 is going to yield something totally different than the day before, whether it's because of weather, sleep, terrain, fitness, mental, emotional, everything. It all changes every day. So you go run a hilly route and you're 8 to 8:15er, you're going to push it to keep holding that 8 to 8:15. And then you're going to go run an easy flat route, and guess what you're going to be? An 8 to 8:15. We had a comment like that on the Q&A Facebook Live session I did in the closed group. And I'm not sure, to the extent of what she was referring to, but she said, I'm an 8 to 8:15 minute mile.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know anybody that is this. One day they're blowing the gaskets off. Here's what I tell athletes when they start working with me, when I talk about communication, is I say, I break your workouts and what you do into thirds. 10% of your workouts are going to be mind-blowingly awesome. You're going to crush them. You're going to dominate. You're going to be a superstar. You're going to think, fuck the sprint. I'm going Ironman next week. Let's rock and roll. The other 80% of your workouts are going to be just kind of as they are. Just going through the motions, being consistent, and getting the work done. And then the last 10% is going to be, they're going to be so god-awful that you're going to need me to convince you should continue to do triathlon. Like, there is no in between. Like, there's just those three. And you're going to hear from me on the two 10%ers, the ones where you want to go pro, and the ones where you want to retire, because those are the ones that kind of change your concept of where you are. But that's part of it. That's why it's all different, and every day is different. And so, that's just one of those. You're a different person every day of the week, and if if you think that only has to do with like who you are and what you are from the chin up, and has nothing to do with who you are and how you can perform physically and from a physiological standpoint from the chin down, then it's probably time to kind of reassess your either self-coaching or how you've kind of put yourself in a box, because we change every day. And it's great. And being that like self-awareness that we talk about all the time, like that's when you really start to put things together. That's when you really start to figure things out about yourself. And you're more oftentimes than not always capable of better or faster or longer. You just either A, lie to yourself, or you allow yourself to be deceived by some piece of technology that just literally has no clue.
It doesn't know you.
Well, no, it doesn't know you. It's a piece of technology.
Then why we're really into technology, man.
Well, obviously not. Do you hear our headsets?
Patreon.com/Crushing Iron to help us build the infrastructure and make this sound better. We don't want to hurt your ears.
Yeah, or honestly, if you just want to make a flat-out a Crushing Iron gift, you can contact crushingiron@gmail.com and gift us two new headsets, because these are wearing thin, to continue on for our Monday, Thursday podcast release. But yeah, man, it's technology is there, and I do see, the benefits, but only as here's how I see it. This is kind of how I was explaining this. I'm going to use an analogy, but you need to let the GPS and the training device show you how you can put together the puzzle better and faster the next time. You don't want the GPS device to go ahead and make the outline border of the puzzle and you just fill it in. And that's what we use the GPS device for a lot. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to let it frame how the workout's supposed to look based on the pace I've already given myself, and I'll just fill in the middle, the easy part. Versus you pick up the box of the puzzle every single day, and you put it together based on how you feel and what you see, and at your own desired pace, and then you come out with it. And then after it's over, then you flip over your little GPS box and you think, oh, I see this, and this. So it's about, yes, there's a benefit, and yes, do I look at it when I look at my training peaks, but the data means less to me than what you tell me physically and mentally. If you feel like one of these days you can just go, then unless it's a recovery day, then you go. I'm never going to say, hey, I was just feeling it today, so I went. Good. Get it. Unless it's like just a hard, fast rule, which I don't have one really. It's like, feel it, and then what's going to happen is you're going to wake up in a month and you're like, oh my God, my easy pace went from an 11:50 to a 10:50. That's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Going by feel, getting the results, doing it every single day, and and being okay with that, and not having to giving yourself a GPS grade every single day is so unrewarding and unfulfilling, versus just doing the work and knowing you did your best, and when you get done thinking like, yeah, whatever it yielded, it's going to yield, but I know I'll give my best today, and you know what, I'm pretty damn happy with that.
Mm-hmm. It seems like every season you and I have certain moments during training that that give us the extra boost of confidence we need, and it's on those days when we're like, we just feel it, and we go, and we get done, and we went, that was the one right there. You know what I mean? Like it seems like we have that a lot on rides. We know that if you're feeling good, and you got it, that's a good way to build confidence too, because you're like, all right, well, I've got another gear, another level,
Yep.
And then you experience it. But to force that level, like this weekend when we were talking about, running, and I had anticipated an hour and a half or whatever, and we just kept going and whatever, and we were like, let's go too. And I stood up. I mean, I was like, all right, well, I know the kind of things that derail me are when like we went further than I was thinking I was going to go, and I felt pretty good about it, and I knew that if we try to push it another mile or two, that might be too much for me, and I just walked away, And we talked about that in the pool sometimes, where if you got a good swim going and you just feel real good about it, let's leave that feeling in your head rather than a complete wipeout workout.
Yep.
So what's on your mind? I mean, we got to wrap this up a little bit because we're running out of storage on our podcast.
Jesus.
But what's on your mind here, man? For me, going into Louisville, it's as always 5 days or something.
Why are you asking me? I get it wrong every single day.
I know, but roughly 40 some days. And again, my thought right now is just to get to that day feeling the best I have all training season, and confident and ready to go on race day.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not sure where I'm at today.
No?
Not yet. No. I mean, I'll know here in a little bit once I hit my workouts, but not sure yet.
I mean, what are you trying to do? Just build? I don't know. Endurance, speed.
I'm trying to get him both.
Okay.
It's one of the trickier things to do, but and I've got, the other thing is that I've just got so many like specific dates to work around.
Yeah.
Here the next week, I've got Chattanooga for 2 days, and then 2 weeks go by, and then we close on our house, and then we're gone in West Virginia for 2 days, and then we're back, and then we move for probably 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're probably less than 2 weeks out, if not maybe a little bit more, from Louisville. And so I'm just trying to bob and weave and jab when I can, uppercut when I have to, and then save the knockout blow for Louisville.
Yeah, I like it. Make sure you're lifting with proper form when you move.
I try, but I don't wear shoes or have to tie anything, so I just slip on flip-flops.
Okay. All right, well, once again, contact c26coach@gmail.com if you want to send shirts and clothes to Texas, and he will get you in touch with where that goes, right?
Yep. I'll CC you on an email to Summer Scandridge and Chris, which are there in Houston, along with Tim Schneider, and they'll make sure to give you their address and let you know when the mail trucks and UPS trucks start to make deliveries again, and they can get those to the people that need them the most.
Right. All right, and if you still haven't joined our closed Facebook group, get in there. There's a lot of great people, supportive people. We got a lot going on with 3 big races coming up, and there's many people in there doing them. Crushing Iron Group, search it. I think a lot of you are actually going to the Crushing Iron main page on Facebook, but the Crushing Iron Group is what you need to search for.
Yep.
And you'll get in the private or the closed group or whatever, and a lot more activity going on there.
Mm-hmm. A lot of good stuff. A lot of awesome people in there.
Yeah, building, a lot of great comments and people just emailing us about how, the other day when he's like, I got this email about how we're, helping bring together a lot of people in triathlon, and that's really what it's all about. It's just like building a really cool community of people that spend a lot of time training by themselves and overthinking stuff, and you get to come in there and sort of share your thoughts, and with receptive, compassionate, good-minded people, and that's a cool part.
100% agree.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You hitting the lab today?
I hit the lab yesterday.
Okay.
I did every bit of 50 laps yesterday.
50 laps or miles? Come on.
I did 53 miles.
Okay. Well.
So that's probably close to 50 laps. I know it's a little bit longer than a mile, right?
Yeah, it's 1.2 miles. So, but still, that's a good effort in the lab, man.
I will tell you right now, if I had bought my goal, it was like 2.5 hours. My goal was 2 hours. That's my workout was. Dude, I was feeling it yesterday.
Yeah,
And if I had brought enough nutrition,
you might have done a century.
I was going for this. I was going for the century.
Wow.
Yep. I know you would have. I know you would have been a little. You'd have been supportive and proud, but you would have been a little, um, probably a little bit irked with me, wouldn't you have?
I think. Well, I don't know. I don't really care. I'm happy
You don't
for
have.
you.
You don't have a desire to do that, do you?
No, I do. I think one day that may happen with me, but that's an awful lot. I mean, that's a lot of. You talk about mental toughness. Go out there by yourself and do like basically 85 laps.
Yeah, I had a few text messages yesterday from people asking me if I was dizzy or what was wrong with me because they could see it that I did all that at the lab, and I was like, hey, it's just I can put my earphones in and I can visualize myself and put myself somewhere else in a different stratosphere sometimes when it comes to the mental aspect, and there it goes. But yeah, so maybe it was a good thing I didn't bring it with me because I was going all in.
Yeah.
Not all in, but I had the mental aptitude to go for it.
Yeah, and that's good. We like to affectionately call it a trainer with elements, a bike trainer with elements. Weather.
Yep.
So it's a similar thing.
It's the original trainer on the road.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, you like that?
I do like that.
Thanks.
All right, man. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think I might go to the pool. I don't know. We'll see.
Go for it, man. I'm gonna run and then swim.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. This has been the Crushing Iron podcast, and yeah, we will check you next time.
Holla.
See ya.